All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Morrow versus Socke, Mouse versus alternate attacks. We're going to go down to Naga Caverns for our first game.
Yeah, man, PvZ's Naga Caverns going to be a pretty difficult map to play on since, of course, the natural is so wide open. So you end up with a lot of early aggression on this map. A lot of players will go for two-base play and never even try to take that third base, as it can be a little bit difficult to secure as it's so far away, and both thirds are blocked by destructible rocks in one method or another. So you know what, maybe we'll just see some, maybe we'll see cheesy play from these players. Who knows? They could try to play that macro game. But I think it would be more likely for Morrow to play the macro game than for Socke here. I mean, some Protosses do like this map since there are some backdoor entrances you can go put aggression on from. But a lot of players really just dislike how difficult it is to defend that natural expansion and thus just go for one base all-ins.
You know, a lot of times I've been talking to my Protoss friends, and they do not like this map, PvZ. The openings are just not there for them, he feels like. I'm not going to mention a name, but, you know, a lot of times the current metagame is going one gate expand or forge expand. And both of those builds do not work well on this map. Yeah,
they're both extremely risky on a map like Naga Caverns. They can be punished by a variety of all-ins from Zerg players, so you have to be really careful and make sure you play your build very safely. And of course, 3-gate Sentry Expo is pretty outdated nowadays, so I feel like what you need to do on a map like Naga Caverns, if you want to play a standard macro game, you have to do the compromise. The 2-gate expansion, and unlike a 1-gate Sentry Expand, will still allow you to constantly produce sentries out of those 2 gateways with double gas, so you'll have a bigger sentry count earlier on, but unlike the 3-gate expand, you're not quite spending as many minerals, so you can get that nexus just a little bit earlier. But you have to be really careful, because any type of big baneling bust coming forward, you know, and all of a sudden you miss one force field and the game is over, man.
Yeah, we'll see what Socke actually does. I'm very interested to see. I would be very surprised if we actually saw a 3-gate expand, because that has been quite outdated. We do see the 3rd chrono boost being allocated towards the nexus, so he isn't doing some sort of fast warp gate, but still it gives him the options. He's able to do so many different things. There's that pylon that goes down there. Still no second assimilator just yet, so it's not a super fast second assimilator. A lot of times we see that anywhere from 19, 20, 21 around there.
Yeah, most players will go ahead and get that assimilator after they got their cybernetics core up and running. Some players will get it before the cyber core. That usually will signify something like a DT rush, but Socke has not added on just yet. Cyber core is now on the way, so we'll have to see if he's going to throw that down anytime soon. If not, it will be a 1-gate, 1-gas expand, or I guess conceivably could be something like a 4-gate. But if he does get that second gas, he'll be able to go for any type of tech options that he wants. No second gas on the way, so you know what, Socke is going to be staying on 1 gas. But you know what, a 1-gas expansion on a map like this would be very hard to pull off and be safe with, since you're not going to have that high sentry count, and you really need a lot of force fields since the map's so wide open. So I think we might be seeing some type of all-in here from Socke. But you know what, he's just going to be chrono boosting that Stalker.
You know what, we talk about this so many times, having very deliberate actions, and you think taking a gas on one side wouldn't have an effect. This is another another place where taking the bottom gas is more important than taking the top gas. Well, all right, the drone gets in here, but even if the drone didn't get in here, what happens is this refinery faces this one overlord, so he's going to see, oh, this is when this assimilator comes out. You don't want to be doing that. You want to give as much anonymity as possible, and taking the bottom gas would have been a much better decision in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Now, a Zealot from Socke is trying to be aggressive. He did take out that Overlord with that Stalker, so Morrow is actually supply block right now. 26 out of 20. He can't reproduce anything, but those 4 Zerglings do take out that Zealot pretty easily. Nice micro, only losing 1 Zergling, so he still got those 3 alive. Finally takes out that unit in his base with that Stalker. Now it looks like Socke is going to go take an expansion. So he went for a late second gas, and he still has not thrown down any additional gateways. It's just going to be a 1-gate double gas expansion here. But this can be pretty risky. Luckily for him, Morrow is not going for any type of all-in style. He did not continue mining gas. Although actually he did get 60 extra there, so perhaps was just paying attention too much to other things to actually pull those off of gas in time. He does have metabolic boost on the way, so I mean he might be able to come with some big speeding attack, but most likely will just be drawing up and trying to play standard.
Yeah, looks like these Stalkers coming here at the perfect time. Now 8 Zerglings on the way. There's metabolic boost isn't there for a while. He needs to stall as long as possible, and these queens can get sniped with good micro. We'll see if Socke should continue on.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't know if he has. No, he had indication of when this metabolic boost would be coming out, so I'm not sure why he's staying.
Yeah, he could have picked off that creep tumor. He could have denied that. He could have continued putting pressure on those queens, maybe kill off a couple more zerglings. When you kill off those lings, it might not seem like that big of a deal, just killing a couple little units, but it makes a big deal because it forces Morrow, just in case, to make a whole bunch more zerglings instead of drones to defend against any additional pressure that could possibly be coming out from Socke. So the fact that he didn't do that, not going to quite take as much of an advantage as he might have liked here, but you know what? He's going to throw it on the Stargate and 2 additional gateways here. So we're going to be seeing a Stargate play out of this early expand from Socke. We'll have to see if Morrow's going to be prepared for this. Do you think it's just going to be some type of gateway plus Phoenix composition, or do you think he's actually going to use a couple of Void Rays to try to put pressure on?
It's most likely going to be Void Rays. Void Rays is the more common thing to do, and I think it is the stronger thing to do as well. It just gives you that extra DPS. It has better capabilities, I think, going further in, but not too much. Phoenixes, they're just too brittle, and you're putting too much gas into it early game.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Void Rays do cost more gas, though. What I think is risky about Void Rays, well, first off, I mean, they're really slow. If you don't do the damage and queens get in position, there's not much you can do about it, whereas if you do go for the higher Phoenix composition, you can lift up those queens early game before your opponent is really prepared. Obviously, the Void Rays give you that utility, so you can actually put pressure on buildings as well as you can kill off Overlords pretty quickly as well. Of course, Phoenixes could do the same thing, but I think actually PvZ, if you are going to go for the Stargate, I think one of the most important things about the build is the fact that you get to pick off those early queens and hurt that Zerg macro so much.
And also take out eyes on the map, of course. You do get to get rid of Overlords, things like that. Yes, Phoenixes will be coming up afterwards just to supplement. No, he canceled it. Yeah, went for the Void Ray. Kind of an interesting play. Now, you know, we've been talking about this extensively by ourselves, and I do want to get it out there that, you know, we've seen enough games of PvZ to know that one Stargate play is kind of weak. You know, just from our anecdotal evidence, we've seen that one Stargate play has been losing a lot more just because it hasn't been materializing enough damage. I feel like it's the better of the worst evils in terms of this or mass Phoenixes, but, you know, it's still going to be tough, I think, for Socke.
Yeah, the problem here is Morrow did not prepare ahead of time. There we go, first Spore Crawler is on the way. So he actually did not start the Spores beforehand, did not play it safe here. It was actually completely wide open, the possibility of Stargate play or DPs. But here's the 2 Queens now for Morrow. He's able to force that Void Ray back. The second Void Ray is coming over here. Is going to try to put pressure onto that gold base. The Phoenix is coming to help it out as well. Morrow might be forced to cancel this. He's starting a Spore back away from that gold, but he's going to start one there as well. This is definitely going to have to be canceled. The Phoenix is going to come in here and lift up one of these Queens. And of course, the 2 Void Rays against 1 Queen, going to be able to kill it off very easily here. Oh my god, where's the micro from Socke? Actually taking quite a bit of hull damage on that Void Ray, but he's still gonna have the advantage. Here comes the Spore Crawler burrowing though. Oh, nice transfuse on that Spore Crawler. He's gonna get that Void Ray with the Spore and the Queen. Great play, but he's still a little behind here.
And it looks like the last Spore Crawler is going to get in here and just chase away this one Void Ray. I don't think he'll keep it alive. But that one Queen, oh my god, 2!
1 HP! Wow. Oh my god, he moved his Void Ray away in anticipation of that Spore Crawler finishing. If he had left it on for a single more tick of damage, that Queen would be dead, and that is actually a really big deal since right now it's just building up more and more energy. He might go forward with those Phoenixes and lift it up to be able to kill it off. Right now he's just patrolling around, trying to get some good scouting information. That's also the strength of this airplay, is that you can get so much scouting information, just fly directly over the Zerg base and figure out exactly what they're going for. But you know what? Socke is not being very active with these. He has still not sent a single Phoenix all game into the main base of Morrow, and I feel like that is a huge mistake. That is the number 1 benefit of going Stargate.
Because look at what we have in Morrow space. Double evolution chamber coming out. The +1/1 has just finished, and infestors are already out. Those things are so pretty. We can see that the the pathogen glance has not been upgraded just yet, so they are starting with 50 energy, but still, look at the army composition of Socke. It is nowhere near ready to deal with these infestors and these upgrades.
And look at this creep spread too. Morrow has covered over half the map in only 12 minutes here. So Socke's gonna be able to move forward with this observer and try to pick off some of this creep spread, but this big army from Morrow might be able to stop that from happening. He's morphing in 16 Banelings right now, has a whole bunch more Zerglings, and of course, all of these infestors have enough energy to throw down Fungals, so if he runs forward, Fungals the army, and runs in Banelings, there's not much that Socke will be able to do about it other than Force Field, so he's going to have absolutely perfect Force Field if he doesn't want to lose all of these Zealots.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult from here. It looks like Socke actually just wants to play this macro-oriented. He's not going to do a timing. I don't think there exists any timings, especially with that +1 Carapace. Look at that, Colossus is
and he
out.
scouts it.
And
see that, man? That's a huge deal right there. Most players might not notice that because, you know, it's just sending some Zerglings into the natural and then they run back. But that's actually an insanely huge deal that he was able to see the Colossus before Socke was able to build up a large number of them. That'll let Morrow know, okay, let me go ahead and either get a whole bunch more Infestors and get Neural Parasite, let me go ahead and get that Spire so I can start getting those Corruptors.
Yep. And what do we have in response? It looks like he hasn't thrown down Neural Parasite or Pathogen Glands yet. Are we going to be seeing a tech switch? Because he's not really investing into these Infestors all too much. He's actually going into Baneling drops, a very peculiar continuation to this build.
Well, you know, it'll be fantastic because generally Baneling drops can have some trouble against this type of unit composition with them just kiting away. But if you fungal, they cannot run away, of course. So you can just drop on everything. We actually see a big drop being geared up to go into the main of Socke while he's moving forward to put some aggression onto his third. So here comes the Baneling drop, and he needs to bring his Infestors in as well to get the fungal while he goes for the drop. Here he goes. He's going to get the fungals he needs. Big fungal and a lot of sentries. The Banelings are doing so much damage. Oh my god, Socke is losing his entire army to these Banelings. And the Infestors have dropped out all of their energy into infested Terrans as well. Socke has lost absolutely everything. Meanwhile, the counterattack in the main world, these Zerglings is doing an insane amount of damage.
Yeah, it looks like everything's going to be cleaned up in that main force. Now the Zerglings are just going completely unchecked, unchallenged in Socke's space, clearing up this one Nexus. It looks like these Zealots are trying to do something. Now takes off a Warp Gate. Zerglings are just way too strong right now with their upgrades. Look at that 2-2. And Socke's only at 1-0. The Zerglings are just super buff right now. Is he getting a hive? No, he's not. Sticking on this lair tech, actually just taking an expansion. GG comes out from Socke. Morrow is going to take game number 1. And wouldn't you know, Morrow's going to take game number 1. Now, I do want to mention something very sneaky that we didn't get to mention during that whole battle. Socke, we saw him. I even said, oh, looks like Socke is going to be macroing up. He actually never took that Nexus in the bottom right-hand corner. He was making it look like he was going towards some sort of huge expansion-based play. Instead, he was going for that huge attack. Really clever play, but thankfully for Morrow, he was able to get that drop in and destroy that entire army at the same time.
He made it look easy, man.
He made it look stupid.
So easy. Yeah, he
stupid.
It did look stupid.
It really was. 2-2 upgrades against 1-0-0. It basically means that your 1-0 is garbage.
Plus, those Baneling drops, man. Baneling drops might not be that effective if you can split up your army, but you know what? You can't move your units when you're fungal growth, so not much Socke can do there. Can't even blink out of position.
Exactly.
Once you're fungal growth, unless like you're doing some like insanely crazy, you have like 7 War Prisms with your army player where you can like lift up your units or something. Like unless you're doing something insane like that, you're gonna have a lot of trouble against that unit composition unless you have your entire army spread out before the first fungal ever goes down. And despite the fact that Morrow committed a lot of his army to that drop, 4 full Overlords worth of Zerglings there, he was still able to clean that up very easily. So he essentially just prepared exactly for that timing.
Hey,
and Socke walked into it.
Taking that gold expansion really had him profit so much. He also had macro hatcheries. He's able to produce off of so many larvae. And of course, when you're producing off that much larvae, Zerglings are just larvae. He doesn't even care how much they cost. He was able to really overwhelm his opponent. We're going to go into game number 2 right now. It's going to be on Crevasse. I'll see you there after this break.